Hello guys, in this video we'll be looking how you can use Typescript with Node.js. We will be building a simple backend application using Node, and then we'll be testing it using Postman. As you can see here in your documentation, if you haven't added Typescript in your Node.js application, here is how you can add, and this is a documentation by DigitalOcean. It is a very helpful resource you can use to add TypeScript in your application, and we can then proceed with a video. So here is the simple video. I have not added anything, and we start by initiating our Node application. First of all, we generate ts.config so that we do our configuration in ts engine, that is tsconfig. So we just write ts --init here, and it should generate. So we just say ts init. So I don't know why it is saying like this, but we can just delete this one here and can just delete it, the application here. I had tested earlier, maybe it's because I have tested it earlier. Maybe let's close, then delete here, then let's start coding. So we create a folder, let's say node application and plus TypeScript there. So we just open with our VS Code. So we can just start our command line there, and we can go to desktop, and then we can just go to node here, or YouTube, because these are projects which I built for YouTube, and then node. So from there we can just do code and comma, that is to open our VS Code. So here we have a blank application, so I'll just maybe try to do the initialization of tsconfig. So we can just ts--init, and it should work. I don't know why it is not working this, and maybe we can say ts_init, or maybe let me use the command line here. So ts--init, it will generate here, and yeah, it is generating. I don't know why this ts or VS Code terminal is not working. So we have our tsconfig here, so we can just configure some things. So we can come here, and the first thing is to configure our root directory, and this is where we'll be coding. So we'll be coding at a folder called src, and then we can just uncomment this module resolution to Node, and we can just come down here and look for this out directory here, and then we can just say it will be list folder, and this is where our JavaScript file will be generated. So we can just create these two folders. We can just say like .dist. This is where it will be generated, our JS, and then we can create another folder called .src, and these two folders we will be working with them. So I kind of feel this is the best way of working with our TypeScript folder structure, and we can just come here and add you can just add a file here, and maybe say .git ignore, because we're pushing the code in our GitHub. So just say that ignore, and things I want to ignore is .dist. It won't push the dist folder, and it won't push .env, because those are the things I don't want it to push. So another thing is node modules. I don't want it to push node modules, so it is called node_modules there. So we can just save it. So from there we can just start by initiating our node application. So we can just say npm init, and then yes, everything, we say yes, and it should generate that package.json file. And with this, now we can just start adding our packages and everything. So we can create here in our folder src, we can create index.ts, because we'll be working with TypeScript. So here are the two commands that I want to run. Let me show you guys. So let's start by our first command. I don't know this time if the terminal for VS will work. So let me start by saying ts watch, because we want to watch our files and it is not working. Let me try this one here for command prompt. So with that, say ts watch, and it should watch in watch mode, and it is showing that we have 0 errors. So we start another terminal that is for running our application. So we just go to desktop, and then YouTube folder, and then it is cd node application with TypeScript. And then let me clear first of all. So we can just start by adding some packages. We can just say npm install nodemon .env express calls, because these are the things that I want to use as packages. So we just enter and let it install for me. So it will install .env express calls, all this. So let's see what will happen here. So that we start coding our application. It has already started, and it has already finished installing, and as you can see, we have already generated node modules here. So if you come here, you can see packages that we have added here, and if you come here, you can see like this is where our our JavaScript files will be generated. So you can just come here and start coding, but before that we can just run with nodemon here at our terminal too. We just hide that one. So we can say nodemon, and then we can say list.index.js, because this is our JavaScript file, and as you can see, it doesn't have any code, so we can just start coding from here. So we want to say import, like everything. We want to import express express from express there, and as you can see it is giving me errors. So what you do is that you can hover over it and it will just give you what is wrong, and as you can see we need to run this command here, and this is to add types because TypeScript use types. So we can just copy and then just run it. Let me add another terminal here. So we can just say desktop, YouTube there, and we can just go to node application there, and then we can run the command here. So let me run it here. As you can see it is installing there. So if it is complete, it should eliminate this error. So as you can see it has already eliminated the error. So we can start by saying const up and then say equals to express there, and as you can see there, now we are building application like just the normal way that you can do without the TypeScript. And then from there we can just say, before we start reasoning for a port or creating our server, we can just say app.use, and then things that I want here, I want JSON from Express, and as you can see here we want this one, and it will add at our import here. So we just need to add that in order to add JSON, in order to use JSON in our application. So we can just add another one, and here it is calls. I don't think we have calls. We can just come here and import calls from calls, because we already installed it. So as you can see, you need to run another command, and this is the thing with TypeScript is types, because TypeScript is built to make JavaScript more secure, and it uses the types so that you can't do errors, simple errors or stupid mistakes. So we'll come here at our that terminal and then add our command there, and then just add it before we can continue with the application. So I need those, but before that I need to add .env so that we can use .env file .env from .env. So, and that one doesn't require types, so you can just come here and say .env.config there, and then we can just add that file here. So you can just add that .env here, .env, and the first thing that I want to put here is our port that will be reasoning on in our server. So we can just give it 3000, like the React application, it works on this 3000 port. So I think it is correct. I think it should be like this. So we just come here and say, so we can just now start reasoning in our application. Can say app.reason, and the first command in our reason method should be the port which you want to reason. So we can just say that, and then the second argument should be a callback function. and we can just say console.log, and then we can say something like application runs at port 3000, or rather we can say server, because this is a server, runs at port 3000, as you can see there. So we need to save it, and let's see what is happening in our terminal here. And as you can see, it has shown us that it is running the server. So here is the things that we want to do, but before that we need to capture errors. So we need to use app.use, and then we can do something like function, and then you can say first command is error, and this will be of error type, and this is what you add in TypeScript most of the time. So TypeScript has this error, and then the next, it is request, and it will add the type of request as request, and it should be the request from Express, should take care of that. And then response should be of type response, as you can see here. And then next it should be of next function, as you can see there. So we just add here what we want. So don't know why it is complaining, but it's because I have already used function here. I think we can just remove this function and then add the arrow function here. So the same thing. So we should do like if error dot message, as you can see there, we can just return rest.status, and then you can say something like 4000 or JSON, and then in message as our key value pair. So we can just say error dot message, just like that. And here by default we can return rest.status, and then 500, and then JSON, and then message, it should be message, and then we can add this message error dot message, and we can start from here. So as you can see there, that's the application, but we have not included how to handle the request from the user or from wherever it is coming from. So we just create some simple request, and then we can see how it will work for us. So we can just say app.use, app.get as our first request, but eventually we will just create routes and controllers to handle this request. So we can just say this is our first request, and our request can have two arguments, that is request, and request should have a type of request. As you can see here, from Express it should be from Express, and response, it should be from response. So from there we can just say like res.status, and then 200, and then .json, and we can just say string like message, and then we can say something like we have hit the endpoint here. So let's start by testing this one, as simple as it is. So we can just come into a postman, and then we can just, let's copy this one here. These are the collection that I was using earlier on. So we can just add another new request here. So let's see how it will work. So I don't want to do this one here, so I just remove all that, and then our request is get, is not post. So we just post and see if we get something from our backend, and we cannot get any response. So we can just maybe remove that, and we can't see anything. So we should look here and see what's the problem. So we can just maybe console.log and see if we can print something in order to show we are hitting the endpoint. And as you can see here, we are running on port 3000. So let me see if we are requesting from 3000 here. So let me send it again. So we can't see. Let me copy this and try to paste it on our browser and see if the postman has some problem, but it can't see. So I think there's some problem somewhere. So I don't know what is happening, but we'll see. So in the last video I had some problems, and this was occurring because I had used HTTPS here instead of HTTP. So we just remove that HTTPS and use HTTP. So if we do the request just like that, you can see here we have hit the endpoint, and in our terminal we should see the console log here, and this is hello. This is coming from this console log here, and that is it. So our endpoint is working. So we'll just proceed with our application and build routes and then controls. In this application I'm using a conventional way of building application that is called model view controller, and this is the most popular way of building application. So we put our logic at our controller, and then view, and then model. So we start here by creating roots. So we can come here and add another folder that is called roots here, and then controllers, all controllers can, let's say like that. So or we can just use singular name. Controller is a controller, and then here root that is a singular. So now we can just start creating our root here. So we can just come here and start by creating index.ts, and I will show you what's the meaning of that ts. And we can maybe start by creating our first root. Our first root will be like, maybe we are building a sign up application. So we can just add a file called the user, maybe it's for authentication or something of the sort. We can use user.ts, and then we can come here at our controller and then add user.ts. And if you look at our dist here folder, it is already generating the version of JavaScript, and this is the one we are running. And if you can just come here, you can see what is generating. It is unreadable, and as you can see, you can't wrap your head around and see what is happening around here. So we just close it. We don't want to see it, because at the end of the day we are focusing on using TypeScript, but we are running the JavaScript and it is working well. So we start by coming here, and then we start by creating our functions. You can say const, then something like get all users, something of the sort, and then we can just say this function, or you can just say export, should be export const, and then from here we can just build our function. Here, and our function should have request, and this request should be from type of request from express. So write down here, and then response, and as you can see, it is importing for us. So response of type response here, as you can see. And now from here we can just say maybe something like res.status.json status 200 maybe, and then .json, and then we can say something like message, and then say something like all users, get all users. Get all users, as you can see there, get all users. And that can be, we can have another file or another function that is export const, and then this may be add another user, that is, and then we can say something like request, same thing, and we add request here, and then we can add response, which is the response here. Can add that, and then we can say res.status. We are not using database, that's why we are not doing a lot to do, but here is the logic part. You can just add into database, do everything that you want here. So message, and then you can just say user or new user is added, as you can see there. So this is it. So we can just maybe format our document here, as you can see there. So we can just come here and then say something like const import router from express. As you can see, is a function that is from express. You can say const router, and then say something like router. I know in vanilla JavaScript or Node without this TypeScript, you just come and say something like express here. Like you come here and say something like const express, and then say express, is equals to require. We just say require, and then from express, and then we just come here and say const something like router, and you can say something like express dot router, something of the sort, something like this. But now we are not using plain JavaScript in our Node application, so we just import the router. You can just import router here, and this is from express, and then we just come here and say something like, we say const router is equals to router, and we call it because it is a function, and then before anything you can say export default, then say router there. So from here now we can just call our function what we want, as in we can do .get, and then say the first argument should be the path to where you want to call this function. You can say now get, or you can see it is suggesting for you, if you click at it, it will import for you right above here. So that's the function, the first one. And then you can say router dot post, and then say something like add user here. As you can see there, those are the two functions that we want to use. Now we can just come here in index.ts, and I'll show you why we are using this, and this is to make our work cleaner. So we just do something like import from router or from user here, and then we can import something, or we can import something like root. We can import something like user root, and you can just come here and say export something like user router. So we won't be repeating a lot in our index.ts. So if we come here, we can say something like, now we can say app dot use, and we can say something like /API, and then call our user root here from our index, and we can see here. So we can just, even I think we can remove this here and it will work. Okay, I think so. Okay, let me add that, but in some scenarios it works. So let's just rename index.ts like that, and when you come here, you can see like it will work for without adding here index.ts, but it will just work like that. So this is to tell our endpoint if we get a hit at our API, then it will just look at our user root. And to be specific, because we can have more than 2 roots in our root folder, we can use something like user or users, something of the sort. So we can add that. So we can add another thing, but first of all, let's just try and see if our endpoint is working. So you can see here our endpoint is slash end slash API slash user, and then it will come here and find our controller here, and our controller is, it will come here and see the function is get all users, and it should return this message here. And here is the point where if we had database and something, we can just fetch the data from the database. So that's the one of the reasons that you use this controller and to separate our logic. So if you close, you can see the folder structure in our application here. So let me now try and test if it will work. So slash user already, and if you do get, of which if you see here, it is a get request. So if you come here, it is a get request first of all. So let me start by requesting. So let me hit there, and as you can see, the message get all users, and this message is coming from our controller here, and get all users, and it is getting all users. So we need to go here and then change our request and say post, and it should return this message, new user is added. And let me show you. So let me post, and as you can see, new user is added. So that's how it works, like how you can use Node.js with TypeScript. And not all that, we can just add another route here. You can just come here and say something like, maybe something like app.use, and then add something like slash API slash orders. Maybe it is a e-commerce application that we are building, or order, as you can see there, and then say you order route, that is, see there. And because we don't have route, order route, you can just come here and create the order route here. You can say order.ts, and you can just come here and then add again order.ts. So here we can add the functions export const get all orders, yeah, and then say something like function, yeah. And as we said, we have our function that is have argument like request, and we have the request here from express. We should import it from request, and then response, it should be from response from express, that is. So you can just import there. So you can come here and say something like res status, and then 200, and .json, and add here message. You can say message, because now we are just returning the message. We don't have database, but if we had database, we can just add it here. So we can say something like all orders, and then we can add another function, just like how we did for our customer. So our user, that is, you can say add order, and you can say the same thing. This is the same function. It has a request and response. Request, that is request, and then response, from response there, and you can just come here and say this the status, and then 201, something of the sort. It should be 201, and then this one you can say message, and then say or added order successfully, and this is because we are adding or we are altering something in database. So from here we can just come here and do similar thing that we did, import router from our router here, from our express. So it is caps, I keep on forgetting. So we just come here and say const router is equals to, we call the router function here, there, and we can just export default and then say router, just like that. And then from here we can say something like router dot get, and then slash, and then we can say what function we want to call from our controller. We can just say get all orders, and it will autocomplete for us. Then the other thing is router dot post, and then you can just say something like add orders, add order there. So you can see now we can come here in our index.ts and you can just import. Here and say something like order root, something of the sort, or maybe you can just say import order root here from order. So as you can see there, or order there, and then we can just say export this one to order root, as you can see there. So now you can just come here and then import. So you can just import. As you can see, our work is very clean, and now you can just close these ones, and as you can see here we have all these folders. So the next thing is to test our application and see how it is working. So we can just go back to get, and then for now it is order, it's not user, because we want to hit the endpoint for the order. And if you just request, you can see message or orders, and then if you just post, it should show you order added order successfully. And you can just come here and correct here, it should be 201 because it is creating or altering something. So you can just come here and use this .env.config because we don't see the need of using it, of adding it if you are not using. And you can see here we added our port like 3000, so we can come here and add it. You can just say something like const port and say process dot env dot port, because we are calling it port, just as you can see somewhere here. So so it is port. So we can just see if it is breaking our application because we just add here port. Now we've not hard code it there, so here we can use string interpolation. So we can just use backtick and then server running on port say something like port on port, that is port, and see how it will work for us. So let's see if it will break. So as you can see, it had broken, but now it's good, it is great. So you can just request again. Now it is working correctly. So this is how you should build application, node application with TypeScript, and we can just format our code so that it looks great. So there are no more mark spaces and everything. So you can just format and just come here and format. These are bigger spaces. So you can just come here and see. Yeah, like you can just format it, and then you can just come here and format again, and you can format here. So this is our simple application. We have not done crowd application, but I think you are getting the idea of using Node.js with TypeScript, and I'm hoping this video will reach as many people as possible. If you get this content helpful, you can like my video or subscribe to my channel. So I'll see you in the next video.